Welcome to SNT's 10 and 10, where you get the top 10 space news stories for the last week in less than 10 minutes. This week features
Spacewalk on the ISS, Ship 33, Parade of the Planets, a new rocket enters the fray. All this and more coming up on this week's SNT.
60 seconds.
Coming in at number 10 this week, 4 bright planets will be visible on a parade of planets in January. The planets are Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn. NASA provided this image where you can look southeast from North America to see the parade of the planets around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Mars will be at its closest position to Earth this weekend too, so it will be very clear. Don't forget to stop and smell the roses. Coming in at number 9 this week, a full wolf moon will happen on January 13, 2025, where Mars will be fully occluded by the moon. Exact times and position of the occlusion will vary depending upon your location. It should be visible from most U.S. states in eastern Canada. More information about the occlusion is in the expanded description box. Coming in at number 8 this week, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson announced in a press conference on January 7, 2025, changing plans for Mars sample returns from the Perseverance rover. There would be several options on the table from commercial providers, which will drastically reduce the cost of these sample returns. We anxiously await the return of samples, which also might happen 10 years quicker. Coming in at number 7 this week, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory office in California evacuated during the western wildfires. The Eaton Fire Evacuation Zone in Los Angeles included NASA's JPL office, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Flames were within a mile of the facility. However, so far, JPL remains intact, sans some wind damage from the heavy winds, which have also plagued the region. Coming in at number 6 this week, on X, NASA announced the launch date for the Blue Ghost lander. On January 15th at 1:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA, a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket carrying the Firefly Aerospace Blue Ghost lander for NASA will launch. This is an unmanned lunar mission and is part of the greater Artemis program. We covered the contract award in SNT Episode 3, link is above. This unmanned mission will be focused on the study of possible granite-composed Gruithuisen domes. Granite typically forms on Earth through plate tectonics in the presence of water, so it's pretty curious how the domes formed on the lunar surface without the presence of water or plate tectonics. Coming in at number 5 this week, NASA will conduct 2 spacewalks at the International Space Station in the next 2 weeks. The first spacewalk is scheduled to begin at 8 a.m. on January 16th and last about 6.5 hours. NASA will provide live coverage beginning at 6:30 a.m. on NASA+. NASA astronauts Nick Hague and Suni Williams will replace a rate gyro assembly that helps provide orientation control for the station. They'll install patches to cover damaged areas, a light filters for X-ray telescope called the NICER, the Neutron Star Interior Composition Explorer, and replace a reflector device used for navigation data on one of the international docking adapters. Additionally, the pair will check access areas and connector tools that will be used for future maintenance work on the alpha magnetic spectrometer. The second spacewalk is scheduled to begin at 7:15 a.m. on January 23rd and last about 6.5 hours. NASA will provide live coverage beginning at 5:45 a.m. on NASA+. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams will remove a radio frequency group antenna assembly from the station's truss, collect samples of surface material for analysis from the Destiny Lab and the Quest airlock to see whether microorganisms may exist on the exterior of the orbital complex. I kind of doubt it. And prepare a space elbow joint for the Canadarm2 robotic arm in the event that it is needed for a replacement. It will be the 274th spacewalk in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades. So apparently the news of Suni's failing health was premature. She's doing 2 spacewalks. Way to go, Suni. Coming in at number 4 this week, SpaceX finally finishes loading the simulated Starlink V2 satellites on the PEZ dispenser aboard Ship 33. And then rolled out Ship 33 to Tower 1 at Pad A. Shortly thereafter, the chopsticks came down, picked up Ship 33, lifted it to the top of Booster 14, swung the ship over, and mated it to Booster 14. Wet dress rehearsal occurred on January 11th, 2025. The GSE tanks were refilled by trucks following the wet dress rehearsal, and we await the launch, tentatively scheduled for 1:13:25 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. The flight plan will be the same as for Flight 5 and 6, with the exception being that they intend on deploying 10 simulated Starlink 2 satellites on the same suborbital trajectory as the Starship. This will be the first flight of the Block 2 Starship, and it's hoped that it will survive re-entry with much less damage than previous versions of the Starship. SpaceX also installed non-load-bearing ship catch pins to test their design during re-entry interface. Numerous heat shield tests are planned for this re-entry. Recovery of the Starship would be a great help, as SpaceX is also testing the catch points in preparation for potential ship catch on IFT 8 or 9. Do you think SpaceX will attempt a ship catch on Flight 8 or 9 or other? Comment below. Coming in at number 3, Nancy Grace Roman was an important American astronomer and NASA's first chief astronomer. She passed away in 2018. She was key in the design of the Hubble Space Telescope. The Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope was named in her honor by NASA. The Roman telescope, as it's known, is deemed the mother of Hubble and is a wide-field infrared survey telescope, W-FIRST. It will be used in order to probe the universe for extrasolar planetary bodies using gravitational lensing, determining the age of the universe, attempting to unveil the mysteries of dark matter, and examining space-time curve. This telescope will be a paradigm shift in our universal information and evidence-gathering capabilities. The Roman telescope is slated to launch in 2027 aboard a Falcon Heavy launch vehicle from Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center, Florida. Coming in at number 2 this week, Booster 1067 successfully landed after its 25th reflight, a new record for SpaceX. On January 10, 2025, SpaceX launched another Starlink mission from Cape Canaveral Slick 40. The booster, after successfully lifting its payload into space, re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and successfully landed upon the autonomous drone ship. Just read the instructions. This was the 25th landing for Booster 1067, which is a new record. Awesome job, SpaceX. Falcon 9 begins the year by setting an amazing record. How many booster landings can a Falcon 9 make? What's the limit? Comment below. In addition to this mission, SpaceX also had 3 other Falcon 9 launches this week. 2 launched from KSC and 1 from Vandenberg. Just read the instructions captured 2 of these Falcon 9 boosters, including 1067's record-setting 25th. 4 more Falcon 9 launches are scheduled for next week. If SpaceX can continue or increase this tempo, they're on par to reach over 200 launches in 2025. Congratulations, SpaceX. Keep up the awesome work with Falcon 9.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance. Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
You could also see in the shot here on Just Read the Instructions, this is 1067's 25th landing. You could see the water deluge system has also been installed on autonomous drone ship. Just read the instructions. Coming in at number 1 this week, massive delays in both New Glenn and Starship launches. It's been a crazy week between the cold front and weird weather that pushed down through Texas and Florida, and problems loading the Starlink satellites and Ship 33, and then whatever happened last night with with Blue Origin's attempt at launch, has kind of left us in the boat we're in now. I mean, this is the number 1 news story in space right now, is both of these launches. IFT 7 for SpaceX and, Blue Origin's New Glenn launch 1. And so, this week, this story is number 1. And, unfortunately, it hasn't come to fruition yet. And, I had this as a space saver for either one. And of course, neither has launched. So that's the number 1 story of the week, is we're still waiting on launches from SpaceX and Blue Origin. So thanks, everybody. Like, subscribe, tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
60 seconds. That's 1 small step for man,